Wow, it's hard to believe that this is the bottom of the bay here by Minister's Island. Standing on the bottom of the bay. What a beautiful place. This place does not get enough advertising. It's well worth the visit. This roadway over here to Minister's Island, it's all natural. It's not man-made, and it only uncovers when the tide goes out, and then you can drive across it. There's only a few hours every day that you can drive across here and go over to Minister's Island. But Minister's Island, it's a beautiful place. It's well worth the visit. Like I said, it doesn't get enough advertising. It's a beautiful place. A lot of history here. Wow, that's quite the barn. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, good. An operating farm. The farm was said to be one of the finest and best run small farms in the country. The barn was one of the largest in Canada. Originally, 23 buildings stood on this property, many of which were part of the farm's operation. In addition to this farm, property had implemented barn ice, creamery, sheds for chickens, pigs, and ducks, boiler house, greenhouse, turkey run, vineyards, and house for farm workers. The barn designed allowed for cattle on the lower level to be fed through openings in the upper level, similar to openings allowed manure from the cows and horses to be added to the compost area in the basement. Workers in the barn wore white lab coats. The story goes that the Van Horne on site to the barn saw the workers staring out the window to ensure maximum productivity. He had the windows moved up above their sight line. Oh, look at that old car, old Ford car. Wow, that's something. Yeah, that's right. This way should do it. French-Canadian cattle were developed during the 16th and 17th century in Normandy and Brittany for hardiness and productivity. Sir William selected and imported these animals as they were well adapted to the Canadian climate, soil, and available forage food. Small and long-lived with exceptional docile temperament. French-Canadian cattle were born pale and became black or dark brown as they aged, often developed in the light-colored muzzle. The udder, stomach, and chest may also have occasionally white spots, valued for their milk, which was sent via the underground pipe system to the creamery next door for processing. Ayrshire, operating in Scotland's southern uplands, was brought to Canada circa 1800, and in 1898 the Ayrshire Breeds Associated of Canada was formed with a representative attending from Ottawa around the Maritimes in 1930. Sir William's daughter, Andy Van Horne, hosted and donated judging prizes from the annual Short Cattle Breeds Day. However, in 1955, his great-granddaughter Beverly Ann sold the herd because she had no interest in maintaining the farm. The Canadian Ayrshire breed is now famous throughout the world for its genetic contribution to dairy cattle. Of superior quality, famous for their functionality conformation. Ayrshire's are free of genetic disease, give birth easily, and are adaptable to variable environmental conditions. Come this way, Shakira. Quite the barn. It is huge. She's friendly. She loves everybody. She's gotta say hi to everybody. This must be where they kept the pigs and the sheep. different farm equipment, hand tools they used here on the farm. Bunch of pitchforks and some size. The creamery. The milk produced by the Dutch belted cow was piped from the barn to this building. The deep stone walls, glazed tile interior, and whitewashed coffeeed ceiling were designed to keep the interior cool for the preparation of the milk, cream, and butter. Excess raw milk was sold to local dairies when Van Horne family were not on the island. Dairy products from the creamery were shipped by the train from the Bar Road station to Montreal for their enjoyment. This is the creamery, where they made the cream from the milk of the cows. Wow, look at that barn, the outside of that barn. That's amazing. That is something else. That is huge. In 1790, Reverend Andrews built his house on the island, which was purchased for £250 sterling. Thereafter, it became known as Minister's Island, with the bar under water for a large part of the day. Visiting the parishioner and getting into town for church services was not easy, except for a brief interlude. Minister's Island remained entirely in the Andrews family until 1891, when a large parcel was sold to Sir William Van Horne. That barn is amazing. Man, it is huge. Unreal.